A dark soldier named Dariel stands before the generals of the Lord of Darkness, where he is informed that he is dismissed and expelled from the army. For someone who is not able to conjure up even a simple spell has no place with them. Yes, the last general had a lot of love for him and that's why he managed to last so long, but that ended as soon as he retired. Now Dariel goes on a free journey to start her life with a clean slate. But after wandering through the woods for a few days without a crumb of food in his mouth, he collapses without strength. Just as a girl jumps over him, she flees the monster. She is a human, and he is a demon. Demons are not much different from humans, only that they have magic, and humans have adventurers and heroes. But he decides to save the girl and pounces on the monster with his bare hands and immediately gets hit. As he falls to the ground he notices a knife, a weapon of men. A shame for a dark soldier to use such a weapon, but since he is no longer one of the dark warriors he throws away his principles and grabs the knife. Remembering how men wielded weapons in combat, he repeated the grip and pierced the monster ape. A girl named Marika decides to take him to her village to thank him with lunch for his rescue. There she introduces him to her parents. Dariel tells him what happened to him and why he ended up in the woods. Of course, without going into detail about the fact that he served in the demon army. Marika, hearing the story, cried and offered to stay in the village, because he had nowhere else to go. As the village is now in decline, there are many vacant rooms. I am now in the midst of enemies and could be exposed at any minute, so I have no reason to linger here. Although I have already found 2 reasons. Thus Dariel stayed to live in the village. The next day Marika's father, who is also the head of the Adventurers Guild, hereafter referred to as the Head, offers Dariel to join the guild. He tries to skip joining, as demons cannot pass the rite of passage and he will be exposed. But who asks him? You can say that he was forcibly enrolled in the adventurers. Each adventurer has an aura that attracts one of the weapons, and during the test it turns out that Dariel has a disposition to all types of attacks and defenses. The head wants to give the first task for the adventurer, collecting herbs. Since the only adventurer in the village is squeamish about these tasks and they have accumulated quite a lot. He also warns that a dangerous monster has appeared nearby, which this adventurer has never been able to defeat. It turns out to be the monkey that Dariel defeated, saving Marika. So Dariel fulfilled his first order without even knowing it. Now he wants to fulfill his order consciously. Marika keeps him company. She explains what the herbs look like and what they are used for. While collecting, they encounter a reindeer who is fighting a monster. They decide to slaughter both of them. When they bring the loot back to the village, it turns out that Dariel has once again fulfilled the order of the village adventurer. Life went his way. He was already used to life in the village. Coming to the guild, the head warns that not so far away announced a terrible monster. Although he has engaged adventurers from another city, still need to be on the alert. Except that the head is worried about the second adventurer gas hit, as if he would not try to eliminate the monster himself. Dariel offers to go after him and bring him back to the village. Marika asks to go with him, but he refuses as it is dangerous. She understands and helps him get ready to go. While searching for gas hit, he stumbles upon the trail left by the monster snake and realizes that the adventurers who were supposed to deal with this monster missed him, and he approached the village. But it's too late, the monster is chasing gas hit. Dariel wants to apprehend the monster, but it pays no attention to him and continues chasing its victim. Then he attacks it and damages the serpent. Now he has her attention. She strikes him with her tail. He holds back the blow, but the sword fails and splinters. Dariel quickly decides to hurl a shard of the sword right into the monster's mouth, thereby slaying it. Gashita is wounded, but Dariel has the antidote Marika gave him. He gives first aid with the help of improvised herbs. The young adventurer asks how he knows all this. Dariel says he learned it all while gathering herbs. From that moment on, Gashita changed his opinion of Dariel and began to idolize him. Dariel asks the head why there are so many empty houses in the village. The head tells him that a mithril mine not far from the village used to belong to humans. At that time, life was thriving in the village, but when the demons took over the mine, life in the village went down the drain. He decides to visit the old duty station, hoping to negotiate a supply of at least a small amount of mithril. Using a divine disguise, he sneaks inside and discovers that the place is not guarded at all. Entering the mine, he meets his former subordinates, the Knockers. They are pleased to meet him and tell him that they are treated badly and their mining quota is quadrupled. While the point is being made, the soldiers came to the mine. The commander scolds about the small amount of mithril mined. The Molotans can't stand it and begin to revolt. The chief orders them killed, but then Dariel intervenes. Since he knows every spell and how long it takes to read it, he attacks the soldiers one by one. So as not to injure anyone, he keeps his sword in its sheath. The numerical advantage is clearly not in his favor, but that does not stop him, because you just need to simply eliminate the commander. On reaching him, the commander begged for mercy and told him that he was not a military man, and that he only got the job because of his connections. Dariel releases the dark soldiers along with the commander, then returns to the village and reports that he has recaptured the mine from the demons. Meanwhile, at the demons, Bashbarza talks about his project, which multiplies the magical power, but it requires a lot of mithril, so he increased the supply. Though the miners are exhausted, this is only to his delight, since this mine is Dariel's achievement. But he is reported that they no longer own the mine and the demon lord summons him. Having come to the lord, he receives a reprimand from him. He says that his project was of no use to anyone. Bashbarza's father was a great general because he listened to people like Dariel, but he banished him and now Dariel is irrevocably lost to them. With the mine repelled, life in the village began to boom, but the more people the more noise. Dariel arrived at the commotion. There Gashita was arguing with the visiting adventurers. They were those pompous morons, but Dariel was polite to them. As they were leaving, however, he told them that where they came from, the adventurers had missed a monster snake, who had wandered into the countryside and the two of them had to clean up after them. As it turned out, they were the ones who missed the monster. A messenger with adventurers arrived in the village to negotiate with the miners, but they were afraid to communicate with him. So he asked Dariel to help negotiate with them. It wasn't too difficult, just asking to hear him out was all it took, so they agreed right away. When Dariel emerged from the mine, the demons began broadcasting through magic, in an attempt to bring the miners back. He recognized the broadcaster's voice and went to see him. The broadcaster turned out to be a co-worker of Dariel's. He tells him that since he left the army, things have only gotten worse and are cracking at the seams. They need him, and asks to come back. But Dariel refuses, as he has found a new home. But he offers to negotiate the sale of mithril to the demons. After all, if the demons do not have a supply of mithril, there will be a war over the mine again. And to avoid this, simply to establish trade relations. But during the negotiations, the adventurous upstart attacked the demon, but was defended by Dariel. The upstart was reprimanded by his employer because he was hired to protect him, not to interfere in negotiations. Marika complains that she was groped by an old man. Dariel went to deal with him, but it was not just any old man, but a mithril smith. He recognized Dariel's aura and was fired up to make weapons for him. The old man asked to take him to the smithy, but Dariel says they won't let them in because it's run by adventurers he doesn't get along with. The old man says that he will show a master class in negotiation and they will definitely be allowed in. After asking the adventurer for a place in the forge, the adventurer agrees. And there the grandfather demonstrates his mastery of forging mithril. The upstart, seeing his grandfather's skills, asked to work in the forge, but the old man did not accept his offer. The old man took the sword away from Dariel, saying it didn't fit him. He would create a special weapon to match his aura. After all, the apprentice had already assembled their portable smithy, only it works on magic. Asked for help from a demon friend, they set to work. The upstart offered his services so they wouldn't get screwed with the mine. But knowing what a rotten man he is, he refused. So he challenged him to a duel. The next day it was time for the duel. The weapon for Dariel was already ready. It takes the form of a directed aura, so it can change. With it he calmly breaks his opponent's mithril weapon, thus winning the duel. The ambassador apologizes for the adventurer and says they will be punished severely, but Dariel himself asks to determine the punishment. He asks simply to rebuild the abandoned houses where they all help each other in the village. The ambassador asks Dariel to transfer to the central guild because people like him are needed there. Marika heard about this and was very upset. In the evening she sneaked into Dariel's bathhouse to talk about it. Dariel thought that Gashita had entered the bathhouse, which caused one incident. She says she knows he will be leaving soon, so she wants to spend more time with him. But Dariel reassures her. He says that she sheltered him when he was wandering alone in the woods, so he will stay with her. After that, they spend the night together. Meanwhile, General Bashbaz is summoned by his father, and after talking to him, he asks how Dariel is doing and if he listens to his advice. He answers that he and Dariel are doing well. His father couldn't stand this lie any longer and punched him. He orders him to find Dariel, apologize to him, and bring him back. But the son refuses. He is full of ambition to get everything himself and he doesn't need wimps like him. After which he leaves in a rage. In the morning, Marika's mother catches them in the room, but she says nothing, only happy for them. Dariel decides to take responsibility and ask his father for his daughter's hand, but the head overtakes him with a request to take his place. Dariel agrees, but before doing so he asks permission to marry Marika. Marika hears this and throws herself into Dariel's arms in her usual manner. This time he manages to redirect the force and takes off with her. He says he wants to be happy as a couple, but she corrects him and says she's pregnant. So stop. It's suspicious. You spend one night and the next morning you're pregnant. Okay, let's figure that she got all the juice out of him overnight and so she's sure she's pregnant after that. A year has passed, Dariel already had a son. Life in the village went on as usual until a hero arrived in the village. Dariel is afraid of being discovered because the hero may recognize him, but it is not the same hero he met on the battlefield, but his heir. The heroes themselves came to order mithril weapons and find a new companion for their group. At this point let's stop, as the anime will be fully released. I will make the second part, and how fast it depends on you, dear subscribers. According to the activity in the comments I will understand which sequel to take up first, so let me know if you are waiting for a sequel from me.